parks were closed for a period during COVID.
Saudi Kingdom next month. Lapid said he didn't want to, quote, steal the show from the president's visit, but he also said this. Listen.
Everybody's looking at Saudi Arabia these days for several reasons. And the fact that the president is going to fly directly from here to Saudi Arabia is probably signifying that there is a linkage between the visit and the ability to improve relations in the entire region.
Right now, there are no direct commercial flights from Tel Aviv to Riyadh. Last month, President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, helped propel the conversation forward in a big way with the creation of the Affinity Fund. His personal private equity fund raised millions of dollars from the Saudi Public Investment Fund, all that money being directed towards Israeli startups. Saudi Arabia showing openness to Israel. However, the nation's ailing king has conditioned the establishment of full diplomatic ties upon a two-state solution where Israel would create a Palestinian state in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, and that is something Israel is opposed. What could President Biden, who is, by the way, no friend of the Saudis after calling the crown prince a pariah, do to help? Well, I spoke with Joel Rosenberg, conservative author and leader of multiple evangelical Abraham Accords delegations. He says this administration has the opportunity to broker the mother of all Middle East peace deals worthy of a Nobel Prize. We'll have to wait and see if President Biden has the fortitude, Allison, as domestic storms from gas prices to inflation to food shortages threaten to sink his presidency and his party's control in Washington, D.C. come November.
Yeah.
Allison?
We'll see what happens at that meeting. Thank you so much, Daniel Cohen. Appreciate it. Alex?
Sure, good to see you.
Thanks, Allison. It's now time to give you a quick look at today's business headlines. And for help with that, we're going to bring in business and markets analyst and Newsmax contributor Seth Denson. Good morning, Seth.
Hey, Alex. Good morning.
All right, well, markets finishing in the green yesterday after the Federal Reserve announced it was raising rates, the biggest rate hike in decades. But unfortunately, futures are way down this morning ahead of the opening bell. Now, Seth, the Bank of England, they just raised rates for the fifth time in a row. Are futures responding to that news?
I mean, that certainly probably plays into some of it, but I don't know that comes as a huge surprise. I think that the futures are more responding to the recognition that with the Fed raising interest rates as drastically as they did, 75 basis points, that means that the economy is probably going to have to react in a negative way, meaning we are likelier to head towards a recession. Certainly the Bank of England doing what they're doing only just kind of plays into that because that's a global challenge, not just a U.S. challenge.
Well, as I mentioned, the Fed raised the interest rate by nearly a point. Now, that's the largest increase since 1994. What direct effects will this have on American wallets?
Well, listen, if you've got short-term debt, I heard the first Kelly Sadler kind of alluded to this earlier, you need to try to do everything you can to pay that down. Short-term debt being specifically credit card debt. That's going to be a challenge for you. So if you've got credit card debt, you know, I like Dave Ramsey's methodology there, right? Snowball effect it. Find every other debt that you can maybe short pay or pay the absolute minimum on, pay off that short-term debt because that's going to start rising. That just means more money is going to come out of your pocket. It's going to make it tough if you're trying to buy a home, if you're trying to go get a car. There's a lot of different things that with raising interest rates, money's going to be a little bit more expensive. And so those things are the things you're going to need to focus on, but specifically you want to look at that short-term debt.
Okay, so we've been talking about the Fed raising rates to fight the sky-high inflation. But Seth, can you explain how exactly that will help to lower inflation?
Yeah, so really, you got to think about what causes inflation a lot of times, and there's a lot of different things, but there's one thing we don't talk about a lot that really does cause inflation. It's why the Fed bakes in 2 to 3% inflation every year. It's because we print more money every year because of deficit spending. And so really, inflation is too many dollars chasing too few things. So when you've got more dollars into circulation, well, what causes more dollars? Who creates money? Federal government. Federal government creates money when they need to do deficit spending. So the recognition that the federal government is always going to spend more than it takes in is why we already bake in 2 to 3% per year of inflation, because we know they got to print more money to do it. Well, here's what happened. We just came out of a couple years where the federal government spent trillions more than they took in. That's more money in inflation. So as we think about inflation and the money that's going into the system, it's just that there continues to be too much money. The Biden administration is talking about they're reducing the deficit. Well, that's reducing the growing deficit. They're not reducing the overall deficit. So there's still going to be money in the system. And so that's what's really causing this, why the Fed's going to need to raise those rates. Is it going to make a big dent? Probably not right now. It's going to take some time. We need more things so that the amount of money can catch up. But by raising interest rates, more money comes out of circulation because it goes into financial institutions by way of interest. And when you do that, you're taking money out of circulation. The amount of things is still there, but there's less money chasing it now. And that's the idea, to bring that inflation rate down.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seth, for breaking that down for everybody. I really appreciate it.
Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. I was trying to do it in 35, 45 seconds. So.
Well, we still have time to talk about this incredible story. I want to talk about some amazing customer service. Chewy, they are the online service for all your pet care needs. Well, a Chewy customer actually sharing her experience on Twitter. Now, she looked to return her unopened dog food after her dog Gus passed away, unfortunately. Now, Chewy issued her a full refund, told her to donate the dog food, and then sent her flowers with a handwritten note. Seth, I've been looking all over Twitter, and there's just countless people coming out with stories from Chewy, everything that Chewy did when their dog or cat or animal passed away. I mean, talk about some customer service.
Yeah, you want to talk about customer for life, right? Listen, I love this story. So, every time we have a new, we'll call it recruit class at our firm, GDP Advisors, I sit down and I go through a process with them and I say, hey, tell me everybody you think about when you think about bad customer service. And boy, everybody starts throwing out tons of names real quick. And then I say, well, now tell me everybody you think about when you think about good customer service. And it's a little bit slower pace. But I will tell you, somebody that's always mentioned is Chewy. Now, the idea of this exercise is to help my team understand that you can do a lot of good things, but you do bad things, people are going to remember that quicker. But do as many good things as you can, and that's going to create a brand. Chewy has a brand that says we care about our customer first. I say this all the time. If you do the right thing, the money will chase you. You won't have to chase it. And Chewy understands this, and that's really powerful. I love this story. I'm a dog guy, so this just warms my heart. It's the old Macy's versus Gimbels in Miracle on 34th Street. Do the right thing for the customer. The customer rewards you long term. We need more companies to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, Chewy, I've seen online, they're like, I'm now a new customer of Chewy after this story came out. Definitely made a lot of new customers and customers for life, like you said. Seth Denson, thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks, Alex.